back to our wildlife health event reporter. So essentially on the front page of Where here, this is the public page. Essentially everything you click and see here, you don't necessarily need to be logged in to access the information. So the map will essentially show you the most recent 150 events that have happened and been reported by date. And this also gives you, along the right-hand side, a summary just by date as well. And if you click the event that's listed here in the sidebar, it will zoom in and pop up the associated information for that particular event. So this March 3rd, we had a report of a razorbill in Massachusetts, and you can see that there's an estimated number of sick dead, and then the latitude, longitude, and other location information about that event. And you can access that information, like I said, even without being logged in, so you can get a quick sense of what's going on just by visiting the front page of the Wildlife Health Event Reporter. Other features across the top are most of the navigation bars. This essentially are useful once you're logged in to report event, to look through all the reports that have been made by the general public or other agencies and biologists. And then under Edit, you can edit reports that you've made yourself or that you have access to edit. Say you're in a group with a particular network, you can make edits of your own reports or other people that you've been approved to give to make edits to reports for. Along this right-hand side too, you'll also notice there's some different colored push pins. Those different colors essentially denote that this is a different source for that information. So this information comes from that CNET, Seabird Ecological Assessment Network, volunteer morbidity mortality reporting tool and group. And we're able to link the data from those reports and pull them into Where and provide them as a kind of augmented or more integrated view of what's being reported recently. And there are some other applications that we don't have any recent data for. So you see these two projects are the main pushpin colors that we see right now. And so we're gonna keep focusing on at this point how you can get information out of Where, because we assume that you may be most interested in kind of pulling information from Where, learning how to get updates. So as far as getting alerts out of Where, again, you don't even really need an account. By clicking on this Feeds and Alerting function, will open up essentially a summary of how to sign up to feeds and email alerts from the Where system. Here's basically a geographic representation of all the locations where we have feeds set up for. And if you would like to, say, sign up for a feed or an email alert from the state of Michigan for all reports that are made within Michigan, you would click that icon and you can have access to the feed right here. So if you click that, essentially will open up a summary of the feed of reports that we have within Where. Also on this page, there's a link for you to sign up for these alerts by email. And so essentially what you would do is plug in your email address and then confirm once you get back to your mailbox that you would like to receive, yes, that you wanted to subscribe to this subscription. And then you'll start to get a daily report of all of the reports that are entered in this instance, Michigan. And you can do that for any of the locations that we provide feeds for. At this point, we do them for the entire US and Canada, and then we have some reports that we've received from other countries, and so we've set up those feeds as well. If you would like to get all of the events reported, at this point, it's a few a day, probably no more than a dozen a week at this point. So it's not too much, but you can sign up for all the reports with this feed or with this email subscription. And then you would receive, again, just a daily email about each of the reports that were submitted on the previous day. So the feeds themselves are real-time. So this feed is updated automatically each time a report is saved, but the email alerts themselves only go out once a day. So that's the feed. Other information that's available from the front page of Where are frequently asked questions, access to a mobile application which allows anyone to make a report of an event through their mobile phone, an About page, which contains links to informational materials, and Help file, which will help you with some basic functions for the site, and some configuration features for your account. So from here, I'd like to show you on the About page here. So these informational materials are available for you essentially to share with your colleagues or to distribute. If you have a public access center, such as a visitor center or a front desk in your office, and you make contact with the public or people who bring in animals that need help assistance, so like a wildlife rehabilitation center, these informational products can be printed out and give people kind of a reminder that we're looking for reports of wildlife health events to where. We went over the feeds. Another thing I wanted to point out is if you have information that you would like the public to receive. So as someone with an account, when you report an event, based on the location that you are at when you submit a report, we give the public essentially a summary screen that shows them essentially any information specific to that area if they're interested in learning more about who else would like to know about your report. And so this kind of works like an alert, but in the reverse manner. So if you know as the state of Wisconsin that you're interested in reports of animals that are, a group of 5 or more dead or sick animals, we can distribute that information to folks who are making reports based on the location. So if you wanted to share a message with them about your state or your area, your wildlife refuge, about who to get in touch with, or who to send pictures to, something like that, we can include a specific message here so that after users make a report, they essentially see this information. And we have this for a handful of states, and we're working on collecting it from others. And so we'd really be interested in getting information from you about those messages. Let's see. So back here, I'm going to, unless anyone has anything specific they would like us to go over, I can do a couple of quick walkthroughs, essentially. Walk through importing a record and downloading data, for example. I'll give people a chance to ask questions. Okay, so hearing nothing, I'll go and do a quick overview of inputting a record. So in the public instance of WHERE, we allow folks to make reports from essentially a single location. And what we mean by that is essentially you were somewhere and you made an observation. In separate instances of WHERE, we have the ability to essentially enable this single location to also be along a predefined transect or along a transect that you create like on the fly. So first I'll give an example for this single location. So the first page of reporting an event is the location. The second tab or second page of information are the animals that were involved at that event. The third is any additional information that you'd like to share. And the fourth is essentially reviewing and a submitting page. So first you essentially pick the date on which you saw the event. And I'll just make one up here. We'll go to 2000. And so from here you can either make specific changes to latitude and longitude if you wanted to, or you can zoom in and actually drag this marker into a specific place. So if you know you were on the corner of this street or at a certain park, essentially you can zoom in and drag this marker to wherever you saw that animal observed. And then here I'll include a short description of the event. Essentially what this is just a way for you to be able to pick and identify your events from a list in case you wanted to come back later and add more information. And so here I will report saw a squirrel. He was injured. So then after you've essentially put in this basic information, you click Next. And here you have an opportunity now to add any animals that you saw essentially with this event. So if you saw just one species, you would just add one record. If you saw 3 different species, you would add 3 different records. Because each of these animals kind of involved or species involved, you would report separately. So in this case, you can pick by a specific species name. You can also pick a general name, such as a duck or a gull, in case you're not really sure exactly what it was. And if you're not even sure about that, you can even go more broadly. It was a bird. But anyway, either level of specificity that you know, you can pick from that list. So here I saw a squirrel. Now I'm going to, we have a very large species list here, eastern gray squirrel. And it's actually, just to point this out, if you're not sure what the species is and you can't tell, like maybe if you're one of those CNET beach volunteers who often comes upon just bones on their beach because of how long the carcass has been there, you may only be able to say, you know, that it was something you weren't sure. And from here, you can enter the number observed for this animal. So I saw 1, it was dead. I saw none sick. And if there were a lot of animals there that were alive, for instance, so the number you observed, if you estimated that, you can click this checkbox essentially to say, like, actually there were more like 100, but I didn't really count them all, I just estimated it. So you can also pick that checkbox if it's an estimated number. And then from this point, with a warning that we do not encourage you to handle sick or dead wildlife. Again, we target this application largely at the general public, but there's also some tips and precautions from the National Wildlife Health Center that we're providing the link to. The individual can say what they did essentially with that animal. Did you just leave it there? Did you bring it somewhere for rehab? You know, what exactly did you do? So in my case, I just left it untouched. And actually, this should be injured, it's not dead. And here it's alive. And if you had a specific, so you did send it away into a laboratory or you brought it somewhere for rehabilitation, you can pick from this drop-down list that you sent it to a lab or you brought it somewhere for rehabilitation. And when you pick those options, this facility box will let you enter information into there. So again, I'll leave mine untouched. If you wanted to add any other notes about the animal, you could enter them into here. If you had a specific identifier that you gave the critter, such as something you entered into a database locally, you could include that here. And if the animal had a band, like a bird band, you could enter that as well. And we actually do have a checkbox here in case you want to say that the animal was roadkill. That helps it be distinguished later on. And if you had any images that you took of the critter, you could add those here as well as a label for the picture and continue to add additional pictures. So I'm going to hit save and continue. It logged in my squirrel. And again, if I wanted to say add another animal, I could just continue adding them here. So I'll just add another one for an example. And I'm going to again leave this one here. So it's dead. And save. So see, they just continue to stack up. And if you wanted to edit that information, you just click this link here or delete them, etc. So from here, you can move on. And this next page gives you a place, or the user a place, to enter information about the location in case there's anything of interest there. So was it along a golf course, a farm field, just essentially any information that they would like to share with you about the event. And then from here you can also include pictures. Again, these are meant to be kind of general pictures of the environment around the dead animals or the critters that were found. It could be essentially any other supplemental photograph. And then there's a space here if you contacted any agencies or authorities about this wildlife health event. We ask them to include notes as well. And here on this last review page, essentially you'll see a summary of all the information that you've entered so far. And you can review this information. And then if you're happy and satisfied, you can hit submit, and this will be saved to the system, and it will automatically update the RSS feeds that are pushed out to people, and then it would become a part of the next day's daily report that are delivered through email. If you click the Save Unsubmitted, essentially this saves the record and holds it with your account, and you can come back later to finish it if you didn't have all the information you wanted to include. It's very simple though, and it's very quick to add a record and get them entered in, because we're only looking for so much information essentially. So I'm just going to save this unsubmitted for now. Go back home. I'll quickly give you now, essentially, if you would like to do a search for data that you can pull out of WHERE, you can select essentially by all of these 13 parameters. You can only look at your own reports or other people's reports. You can filter by certain date range. So say you wanted to just take a closer look at those Dove keys and razor bills that we've been seeing come in over the last few months. You can start filtering by one particular date range. If you only wanted those razor bills, again you can start typing in species and then pick it from this list. I want to see all the events. So I'm going to take a save. No, I'll just leave the rest of this information default. Click search, and you'll get essentially a little summary down below in a table. You can flip through the records that are included in WHERE, or you can switch over to a map view. Let's see what these look like mapped. So we had one down in Florida in December. We've got another one in North Carolina, 2 in North Carolina in January. And then we have this very large amount in New York and Martha's Vineyard. And then, so as well as this map view, you can also see an Excel spreadsheet. Essentially, you can click the download button, which will give you an Excel sheet to open and work with on your local computer. You can also pull these into your own local databases or other systems that will accept Excel or CSV, comma separated values type of data, which is pretty much accepted by almost any program. So that's essentially how you can quickly do a search for data. And the edit reports, essentially, if you are an administrator for a group or your own data, you can see and access the other data for that group and for the data that you have access to. I guess, are there any other questions?
Hey Megan,
suggestions for things people would like to see?
Ann May had a question.
Okay.
She asked, does every citizen or person who wants to add a record have to have a login or access ID? So I don't know if you want to talk about creating a report, the option to share your information, and so on.
Sure. So when you create an account, So when you create an account, you, as a user, Chris, can you mute? Sorry. When you create an account, as a user, you have the option to just fill in the required information. So essentially, you'll have a username, your first and last name, your email address, and then we essentially have 2 questions here. One is, can someone contact you about your reports? And 2 is to show your name with your reports. And so there's a little bit of control that users have. You can indicate that you would share your information if someone wanted their contact information, or you can choose to essentially say no. I don't want to share my information with anyone, and I don't want you to show my name with my report. But if we do have the ability to share this person's contact information, we will show it to you. So essentially, yes, in order to make a report, you have to set up an account. But to access the data, you necessarily do not have to do that. You can you know, see the front page and sign up for the email alerts and what have you without having an account. But if you would like to make a report, you definitely have to have an account set up. But again, like I said, you can essentially elect not to share your
Megan, if I just want to jump in too, just to let people know, you need an account if you want to search the system for specific records also. Just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you want to use any of these functions off to the left, search or report or edit, essentially, yes, you have to have an account. But the front
so, and then when you're finished up with this topic, Ann May had another question. I don't know if you just want to, look at the chat there.
Okay. Have you tested this in a situation where you want the public in an area to be aware of a disease outbreak, such as an EHD in deer, and report it? And what kind of success we had? So we've had only some targeted uses of this application at this point, and never during a specific outbreak, I guess. You know, I would say the closest thing to that would be this kind of coordinated approach to having people making reports right here from this rehab center, who is talking to the public about making the reports, as well as the CNET administrators. And so, yeah, I mean, we haven't really had a coordinated approach at this point. Other questions from folks? And feel free to type it or talk. Okay. Chris or Vicki, did you have other suggestions for things to cover?
I think we would be, very willing to help coordinate an awareness situation like that with someone. We just haven't had that opportunity, correct?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I mean, we with the Fish and Wildlife Service currently, we're doing kind of a test project in the southeast, where we're asking the Fish and Wildlife Service folks, as well as their refuge personnel, and then they have some partners from other departments, such as USDA and so on, and they're investigating, essentially looking to see if this helps them in their work and if it would make sense to expand that. And so it gives them essentially a place to have all of their partners enter this information. It gives them a place to have like a long-term data catalog, essentially of the events in their area, so that the next year when they have outbreaks, maybe they can say, well, but we tend to see this kind of an outbreak or this issue at this time of year based on our past data. So they're interested in also loading up some of their historic data into the system. And again, because it's so simple, it's not a lot of onerous effort.
And in addition, we do have
another example.
Again, I don't know if you have a group that you were thinking of specifically, but we have materials that can be provided to a group, and then they would be able to sign up for the alerts, so they would be aware of what was going on in their area. So if that's one of the things you're thinking, then we could provide you with those. Feel free to click your talk button and maybe further explain what you were thinking.
Megan, if I could just jump in here too, I just wanted to let folks know that if they're interested, that this information is, or remind them it's freely available, not only to view in the system, But if they want to export the data either into an Excel spreadsheet that they can download locally, or they can pick up that RSS feed and grab a hold of that and pull it into their own local system to be integrated or reviewed together with their own data that they have, whether it's wildlife health information, or it might be interesting to see what it looks like compared to human health surveillance data that's going on. So just wanted to let people know that that is also available. In addition to being able to push out reports, I think one of the things that's really unique about WARE is it's also set up to receive information from other sources. So Megan pointed out CNET is a citizen science project, and anytime reports are made to CNET by volunteers that are going out on beaches looking for bird mortality incidences, those reports get imported or sent over to WARE, and so you're seeing the ability of WARE to integrate information from different sources and try to build a robust picture of wildlife disease surveillance. And we're really, reaching out and trying to encourage people to share their information and also making our information available.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Yeah, and if you have your own source feeds of information, we would love to work with you on importing and seeing what's possible with connecting your external feed or XML source.
Anne has another comment or maybe a suggestion.
Oh, okay.
I haven't had a chance to read it, but I just wanted to jump in.
Oh, okay. So I was thinking more about how to get folks like hunters and outdoors people to report sighting of deer. Dead deer towards the end of summer. We had an EHD outbreak last summer and requested the public to submit to report sightings of recently succumbed deer. It turned out to be hundreds of reports. How do you think this would work with WARE? Yeah, I mean, I think if we could get the message out, or if folks, would get the message out that WARE is available to the general public in their state or in their area, and we're constantly trying to make connections by providing this type of demonstration. We've done something similar with the general public in the Madison, Wisconsin area last year, preceded by a big, essentially, outreach effort trying to get the word out to folks about an upcoming presentation. But I think getting the word out about the tool and letting people know that you would look for reports there, I think that would be the most beneficial at this point. Essentially, in order to receive the reports, people need to know, that people are interested in hearing about those reports. And so I think getting the word out to the public that this tool is there is really important, as well as reaching out to groups like yours, who are, rehabilitators, professionals in the wildlife health realm, so that they can also in turn direct the public towards this. And use it themselves to help organize their own information if they don't have a system. So I think that would work perfectly. Essentially, it's a perfect use to guide the public towards this tool. And essentially, then, as a biologist in that state or a rehabber in that state, you could sign up and receive those daily summary reports of information if you were interested in receiving them. Any other thoughts or questions? I guess that's it, unless, Chris, you had any other suggested topics you want to go over?
I don't have anything here. Maybe you covered everything that we went over in our outline. So,
okay.
Again, if anyone else has questions,
okay.
Certainly can ask them now, or if you go back and I would encourage you to create an account in WARE and to go ahead and check it out and walk through making a report. You have to submit it. You can just cancel out. So if you want to go through and make a pretend report, you can do that. And also encourage you to sign up for the alerts and start to see what kind of information we are bringing in from the public and from these other outside sources. And if you have questions later on, you have my email through the invite that I sent you, and also the WHERE email, and I'll type those in too so that you have them. So if any questions come up, or if you have any problems, technical issues, please give us, let us know, and send me an email.
I can see one other question come in now. What kind of feedback?
I did see one other question come in here. What kind of feedback have we received about citizens being comfortable with the technology? And I think for the most part, we haven't had any major complaints. Once in a while we'll have a bug that people will find and let us know about, but otherwise it's pretty simple. Like you saw, those 3 or 4 screens of information are pretty similar to what you would encounter entering information in any website, your bank or some other site. So, we really haven't had any major problems, and we've got, I would say, about, I think, almost 5,000 reports. A lot of them coming from the general public. So, yeah, I think it's going pretty well so far.
Oh, go ahead, Vicki.
Mike came in a little late because he had some problems connecting, and I did offer that we could quickly go through obtaining reports again from him after, if he'd like. So, Mike, if you'd like us to, let us know before we all hang up.
Also, Megan, before you moved on to going through alerts, I just wanted to comment too that one of the areas where we would like to move with the Wildlife Health Event Reporter is to have a mobile phone application, so that when people are actually seeing these events happening, that they can use their smartphone to make a report easily and quickly, instead of having to remember what happened, go home, and then log on. And I'm sure for some folks that can be a bit cumbersome, and so we are, one of the things that we would like to do moving forward is to create a mobile phone application. So I just wanted to let people know that that's kind of the direction we'd like to go with this.
Yeah, there is briefly one here.
Yeah, and there is briefly one here that where you're pulling in reports from an external mobile application called Outbreaks Near Me. If you click on this link, and the unfortunate part about this is that it doesn't collect very detailed information about the animal being reported. This is where it comes down to bird, mammal. It's very general. However, it does have, the capability of creating a report. The other limitation with this mobile reporting application is that it doesn't connect you to your WHERE account. And so essentially any reports someone would make from this account wouldn't sync with their other reports within WHERE. So we really would like to have our own, but in the meantime we do have that facility available. Check the questions here. Okay. So yeah, we can stick around if other folks wanted specific questions or a redo of anything. No problem. And thank you everybody very much for joining us today. And please check out the website if you would like to get in contact with us or find more information.